All right. I think y'all can see me. It's gonna take a little bit of time. There it go. Come on, come on, come on. I know y'all been patiently waiting. Thank you so much for waiting. Waiting is always something. I'm telling you, if there's nothing going on, that's gonna, take a couple extra seconds, then that don't mean that just means that I'm doing the right things, right? Y'all know this go. It's always me that I'm doing the right things. If there's nothing that goes wrong, then I'm not doing something right, obviously. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in, come on in, come on in. I know, I know, I know. It's been a couple minutes. So, I do appreciate you all stopping on by. So let me get started by saying congratulations to my partner in crime, my business partner, Mr. and Mrs. Sullivan, tied the knot on May the 4th. So congratulations, congratulations. Hand claps in there, hand claps. Congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Sullivan for a beautiful, wonderful wedding. If those of you don't know, the design behind me is because they had the whole thing while they went underneath there for May the 4th. So it was a beautiful, beautiful celebration of life. So, those of you who do not know, welcome to Real Resilient Conversations, where I am your host. They call me Miss Quita Quee. It is my humble, humble thanks that I tell you. Thank you for waiting. And thank you so much for joining in, where we do this every second and fourth Monday of every month. So I know those of you that joined in last month were wondering where we were, but it wasn't quite the second Monday of the month yet. So we just started for the second Monday of the month of May. All right. Fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. Okay. So I am so, so thankful to be standing before you as we are journeying. Oh, I cannot speak already. We just get started. I have so much information to cover in such a short amount of time. So life doesn't stop, so we can't either. Resiliency continues to grow, and so we will continue to grow as well. So whether you're watching this live on rebroadcast, what I urge and ask of you is that you would like, subscribe, share, make sure you hit the notification bell. This is the type of teaching that you like. Make sure that you don't miss out as we come on every second and fourth. I know it should be every Monday. Y'all are asking me to come back with every Monday, but we are doing second and fourth. Okay. So if it's your first time, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Come on in, take your shoes off, kick back, get your snacks, because it's getting ready to get good, good, good. You know how you do when you watch a good movie. That thing getting ready to get good to you. All right. So with that being said, today's topic, for those of you who come each and every month, time after time again, you know how we do. My Real Resilient Conversation crew, thank you so much for coming back, family. I do miss you all every time that we depart away from each other. So, those that do not know, let's show them how we do. Down there in the comment section, where our topic tonight is May You Be Chosen. So when you're thinking about chosen and you're talking about resiliency, tell me how those two correlate in your mind and what do they have to do? How do they even match up and they meet each other, right? How does resiliency have, what does that have to do anything with being chosen? And while you're putting that in the chat, because you know I like to watch, I like to see. Once again, the congratulation goes out to Mr. and Mrs. Sullivan for a beautiful wedding by Miss Latoya. And Justin, thank you so much for stopping on by. And with that being said, now when you're thinking about being chosen, how many of you think it's all about, special privileges? Or that you was marked for because you got some favor on you, right? It's because you were liked more than somebody else. What happens if you are liked more than somebody else, but you don't want to be chosen, right? But we're going to talk about a little bit of that, right? Being chosen, not wanting to be chosen. When you're chosen, what does it look like? What does it feel like? And how we can really use those things to build our resiliency, okay? So resiliency, of course, it gives you a sense of purpose. Usually, whenever you want to be chosen, it gives you a sense of purpose. It gives you a sense of confidence, of meaning, of understanding. It makes you feel accepted. It makes you feel desired. It makes you feel like you don't have to compete, right? Because you've been chosen. You don't have to compete with anyone else. So when you have been chosen, what are some of the signs that you all think that you should see when you've been chosen? All right. Miss R. Michelle said, because favor ain't fair. I know that's right. You know, I always like to say favor ain't fair, honey. When you've been chosen for the greatness, favor is not fair. Favor comes along with being chosen, and being chosen is not always fair. Let me put it that way. Being chosen is not always a fair fight. There's going to be some things you have to endure, you have to go through during this fight, right? And so when we're looking at being chosen, it's usually because you have the pursuit of wanting more. So because you want more, there is someone that says, I like that about you. Come on and be a part of this team, right? Be a part of this movement. You have the power of over challenges. You don't mind a challenge. You like a good challenge. You're like, show me what I need to do. Give me a challenge and I'll show you what I can do with it, right? When you have been chosen, you don't mind understanding that the Savior dwells within and you have healing power that dwells within, right? Because you've been chosen to understand that you have the power, right? You're not competing with anyone else because you already know the favor that rests upon you. Right, and being chosen, you have that insatisfiable, insatiable search for the truth. So no matter what's going on around you, no matter what it very well may be, you are in need of the truth. When you're chosen, you're like, don't give me the fluff, right? Don't give me bits and pieces. What's the truth? Give me the whole truth so now I can make an educated decision about what's the next step. When you're chosen for favor, when you're chosen for leadership, when you're chosen for partnership, when you are chosen to receive blessings upon blessings, when you are chosen, it takes a moment to where you have to have that inner knowledge of who you are, right? You have the inner knowledge of your ancestors. You have the inner knowledge of your future blessings because you can see the possibilities of what the future holds, right? Ahead of time, because you have the knowledge of what they call an old soul, one of those old souls. You're like, oh, you've been here before. Y'all see some of them young children, they talking, you like, you've been here before, baby. Right? But they've been chosen to be here on this earth to be a part of your life, to give you some wisdom that you may need some help receiving, right? And so I really want to bring it all back, bring it all around and bring you all back to a place where you can understand when you have been chosen, what it means, right? We talked about what it might look like. We talked about what the signs are, right? When I said what it may look like, the signs of it. But usually, whenever we have been chosen and we look for what that means now, it means that we can't no longer just be about ourselves. We can no longer think just about Quita, right? I can no longer just think about Quita. Now there's so many other people that I influence, that I have influence to help them get to the next level, right? That I am responsible for their growth, their development, their understanding, their love, their support. So I can no longer just focus on Quita. Being chosen is not easy, but it's worth it, right? In the right season, for the right time, for the right people. Let me be very specific. Okay. And so when God puts you in the right timing, the right season, the right people, when you have been chosen according to God's plan and purpose, let me be more specific, right? Then you can no longer just be about you. Your blessing is not just for you. Your blessing is so you can bless someone else, right? Your knowledge and your skills can no longer just be about you. It's about blessing and helping in enlarging the territory for someone else, right? To grow and become better. And so also understanding that you won't be able to please everybody when you've been chosen. When you've been chosen, you can't just blend in with everyone else because you have been called to greatness, to greater, to become more than just bare minimum. Minimal thinking, minimal activities, minimal is not who you are. It can no longer be attached to your name. Does that make sense? So when you are talking about being chosen, change is inevitable. You have to choose to want to grow. You have to choose to want to be. You have to choose to understand that today you may be here and tomorrow you may be on a different playing field. So now you are focused on this when yesterday you were focused on that. Change is inevitable. You have to be ready when you're chosen, right? You can't live in the past. You can't live by past hurts. You can't live by past pains. You have to say, I understand what I felt. I understand what I might feel, but at this point, I have to understand what I feel, deal with the feeling, right? Acknowledge the feeling, see what I can do so where I won't repeat it again, and let it go. Because now my decisions could affect the next generation, just that much, right? And so I really want you all to think about: Are you overthinking? Are you putting yourself at a place where you're putting yourself down? And when you're putting yourself down, you may be hindering the next person who's watching you and saying that I want to be like them, or I want whatever is on their life. I want that on my life. But as soon as they see that you're putting yourself down, that you're overthinking, that you're doubting, they will say, well, I don't want that part. Maybe not that, right? But I want the other part. Now they're picking and choosing what they see in you until they have been chosen themselves. Right? And so if you like me, you wondering, well, now I've been chosen. What's next? What can I do? What can't I do? You telling me all this stuff, like, oh, I don't know if I really want to be chosen. Now it's too much pressure. It's too much on my shoulders. It's too much on my back. It's gonna weigh me down. I just want to be free. I want to do my own thing. And like I said, just like me, right? So what I want to do is at least give you 5 pointers. Y'all know I like to give you at least 3 to 5 pointers. One of the things that you can't do when you are chosen is that you have to be very, very mindful of who you tell your future plans and dreams to. You cannot share those hopes and dreams with everyone. Tell me why. Somebody in the chat, tell me why you can't share those hopes and dreams with everyone, right? And of course, I know you all know it's because somebody is going to sabotage it. They're going to be jealous of it. They're going to hate, as we say, on it, right? And because God already has a plan, and when you give too much room for the enemy to kind of swiggle in there and steal because he can hear, what is he going to do? He's going to try and shoot down the very things that were supposed to be a blessing to you, and God was just waiting for you to step into, right? And so the next would be number 2 would be your family matters. Things that's going on in your household, the things that's going on within your family. Why? Now, those of you that's married, you already know you can't tell everything, right? Right? Dream stealers, exactly. You cannot tell everybody about family stuff that's going on, because the same thing that they're talking to you about, they're going to someone else and they're like, you heard she going through over there, and I heard he dealing with this. I heard his woman over there cheating, right? So now it becomes the gossip of the town because you told the one wrong person, or in the one wrong environment, right? Where there were prying ears, itching ears, as we say in church, waiting to hear what they could see, right? So when you're talking about family matters, you want to be mindful of who you're telling your relationship stuff to, financial, marital disputes, whatever pressures you're having going on, whether that be medical, issues with your children, right? Sensitive information. You really want to be mindful of that because, like I stated before, this gives room for people to sabotage. The very essence of you being chosen is to be mindful of who is ready, easily sitting up ready to sabotage you. And it's because they hate to see the blessing and the glory and the favor that is upon you. So number 3 would be all your early victories and your wins, your breakthroughs, the things that you like, I made it through. You have your circle small for a reason. You can't always put everything on social media. As soon as you do, somebody's like, you see them boasting, they bragging, wait until I tear them down. Though. They think they doing something, wait till I tear them down. They just waiting. There's so many evil people waiting to tear you down. So many evil people waiting to use you and manipulate you and abuse your trust and your love and your appreciation and your adoration for humankind as a whole, right? And right, okay, right. That's why everyone does not wish you well. And mom, I do agree there are a lot of dream sellers out there, right? People that want to steal your dreams, take away from you because they don't want to see you victorious. They don't want to see you have your breakthrough, right? It's nice if they could just see some aspect of your life and they can utilize it and turn it around and make it seem like you are less than or you are less deserving of it. It's your impatience that can forfeit the entire promise that God has given you. That could forfeit the entire blessing that is already on the mark, waiting for you to sign pen to paper. Some things need to be silent until it is already completed. Right? The jealousy, the competition, the people that feel like they always have to one up you. Why? Be mindful of who you're sharing it with. Be very choosy with who you trust. If that makes sense. I know back in the day we used to hear a song called "Choosy Lover." Be a choosy friend, a choosy lover, a choosy boss, a choosy employee. Be choosy, okay? When you've been chosen. All right, number 4, I kind of spoke on or hit on a little earlier for number 2, that's talking about your financial status. For those of you that have money, I'm sure you don't go on social media bragging about how much money you have. And those of us who may or may not have enough money, I'm sure we don't go on social media and say, I'm so broke, somebody give me money. Of course not. There's life, and I'm sorry, there's death and life in the power of the tongue. So be mindful of the curses that you speak over yourself versus the blessings that you should be speaking over yourself. Be mindful of who you share that to, because some, like I said, once again, people will think that you are bragging about what you have to make them feel like they are less than because of the financial status that they may or may not have. So what I want you to do is that be mindful, because it shifts away from the very person, the very one who gave you the blessing, number one. And number 2, it shifts away from how the story was. All they see is the here and now. They don't understand the sleepless nights. They don't understand the times you cried. They didn't see how many times your car was almost repossessed because you used your money in order to fuel your dreams. They don't see that part. They don't see that you were almost evicted out of your house multiple times. They don't see that you were sleeping in your car because you didn't have a place to sit. They don't see that part. They see the glitz and the glam. They see you dressed up, that you looking nice, you driving something nice now, you stand in a nice neighborhood. What about the times when you were sleeping in your car in the middle of the winter with nowhere to lay your head? They don't see that, right? So be mindful of your financial status, because there's always someone that's looking to make fun of or to manipulate and use it for their own financial benefit as well. All right, and number 5 would be to speak on your spiritual encounters. Don't necessarily speak on your spiritual encounters. Can anybody tell me why? Why would you not speak on your spiritual encounters? You're like, God gave it to me. I was able to see it. I was able to, encounter it. Why wouldn't you share your spiritual encounters? Hey, Kenny, good to see you. Thank you for coming in real quick. I appreciate you. All right. Why wouldn't you want to share? Right? And real quick, if you think about it, when people talk about God, there's so many different overarching umbrellas that now people put God in, right? You don't know which God they may be referring to. So as soon as you say that you've had an encounter with God, they're like, okay, well, which God? The she God, the he God, the black God, the white God, the Hispanic God, which God? The dark God, the light God, the the sun God. You never know. So when you're talking about your spiritual encounters, there's going to be times where they are going to downplay your encounter. Number 1, they're going to doubt that you even had the encounter. Number 2, and although you may want to share it, sometimes that encounter is not for everybody else. That was just for you and God alone, not for everybody else. So with you sharing, then they're like, oh, you think you better because God loves you better. God talks to you more. Oh, because you're a prophet, an apostle, you're a pastor. That's how I imagine people talk when they are downplaying people. What they don't understand is that those spiritual encounters are kind of like a flower or a baby growing. You don't automatically see it. It's just that over time, you continue to grow within your spiritual walk. And so now your spiritual baby continues to grow. Now your spirit starts to blossom. And now they're starting to see the fruits of the spirit. They're starting to see the giftings that God is giving you, the amount of how smart you are, or the amount of support that you have. Support for somebody else is worth millions because they don't have the support, right? But like I said, it's about having the right people in place so that you don't have to worry about your plans, and your visions, and your financial status, your family, your victories and your downfalls being sabotaged, all because you've been chosen. Okay. And I know, man, I told you I had a lot of information. I'm going to try and get as much in because now I'm already over my time. Give me 10 minutes, 8 minutes, 8 minutes. Okay, 8 minutes. All right, let's talk about areas. Once you've been chosen for favor, you're talking about protection. You're talking about deliverance, being called a friend, right? Being called a parent, having beauty out of ashes, right? When you've been chosen, you receive favor from your captors. When I think about favor from captors, I think about if you were to be falsely imprisoned. And yet, because even though you've been falsely imprisoned, you're getting special meal preparations, you're getting special bedding because of your medical situation, right? You having all these special privileges given to you, all because of the favor that's on your life, right? Receiving special arrangements, right? Receiving mercy, the loving kindness that comes with it, goodness, humbleness, remorsefulness, right? You are remorseful within your spirit. So you don't want to do anything that is going to hinder or hurt anyone else. You are remorseful. You want to make sure that you are with a repentant spirit, as we call it, right? You want to make sure that you are in right standing because you've been chosen. So you don't want to hurt anyone else that comes into your path, right? You want to make sure that everything you're doing is to help uplift and build the next person that comes into contact with you. It has always been my own saying to myself, every person you meet should leave better than the way that you met them. Some encounter with you should spring forth something in their mind or in their emotions or in their heart to say, man, I wonder what Quita's up to. I wonder how Quita's doing. Because when I was with Quita or when I was around Quita, I felt this way. She made me feel this way. She made me think this way. Or I just liked her energy. It was just something about her energy, right? I never want to leave people saying, man, I'm glad I'm not around Quita. I want them to say, what did I do to miss out on not being chosen to be a part of her life at this place? Always think, as somebody told me, always be in the mindset of, man, that's the one that got away. That's the friend that got away. That's the coworker that got away. That's the future wife that got away. What should have been my future wife, my future best friend, whatever it might be. That's the one that got away because of how you make people feel and how you make people now change their way of thinking. Okay. And so people that are usually chosen are who? Parents are chosen by their children, especially those in the foster care system, or those that are waiting to be adopted. And of course, for those of you who give birth to your children, you're still chosen by which child loves who most. Y'all know it. Y'all, they're going to say it's no secrets, but there are. So some children love mama more or love daddy more. It's just how it is. You're chosen. Uh, so children, everyday people have been chosen by God, right? The liars, the prostitutes, the drunkards are still chosen, right? They have been chosen for a certain purpose. And to still change lives, right? So just because you're not the pastor, the preacher, the teacher, right? You are still chosen in a way that can change someone else's life, right? Thank you, Dr. Covington. Absolutely, chosen is a way of life. You cannot be the same. You have to be separate, right? Because everybody that is on a team is not always chosen. Sometimes it's like, yeah, come on, and I need one more man on the team. Come on, right? But when you've been chosen, what happens? No, I need them. No, I want them. No, 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 man. First pick, man. My turn. I want you on my team. Okay, well then I want you on my team, right? When you've been chosen, you get chosen by your spouses, you get chosen by employees or employers, you get chosen, like I said, by teammates, business partners, friendships, student teacher relationships, leaders, followers, you name it, someone is being chosen. Someone is being chosen. Okay? And so I really want you to think, what happens when I'm not being chosen? Does that mean that there's something wrong with me? Absolutely not. That just means that this is a learning opportunity or opportunity for growth. The experience may not be there. So it's not time for you to walk into a chosen lane, a chosen position until you have learned some things, until you have grown in some areas, until you've matured into the proper person that you need to be in order to be in the place that you will end up becoming, all right, or being at, right? And so um, I also want you to know that growth happens in time, right? You don't pluck a corn when it's still in the ground, right? When you first see the leaves, you don't automatically say corn's ready and you pluck the green leaf and thinks that it's ready. Of course not. There requires some growth. And the same thing happens when you have not been chosen. Once again, it goes back to a growth aspect or an acceptance. Have you accepted that maybe this is not the right person? This is not the right timing. This is not the right uh, place that I need to be at, the acceptance of knowing that there are some friendships, partnerships, businesses that don't need to happen at this time because maybe the world is not ready. Maybe you aren't ready. Maybe the people that you are supposed to be involved with are not ready to receive you. Be good with not being chosen at that time, honey. When I think about if I had been chosen to be somebody's wife when I wanted to be, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. Where would we be? Would we still have a 20-year veteran, successful woman of God, or would I be under the ground, strung out on something with a bunch of different kids by a bunch of different baby daddies? Who knows? However, I was chosen for this walk in this lane that I am currently in, and I am thankful that I have been chosen to be in this place. Had I been chosen out of time, out of season when I was not ready, how much more detrimental could I have been to the people that were in my life or that was watching me or that I encountered in relationship because I was chosen in the wrong season at the wrong time. Toxicity is what happens. All right. And if we're not chosen, assume that it's not necessarily you. Maybe it's them, right? Maybe they just don't know how to pick right. People pick the wrong partners, pick the wrong parents, pick the wrong all the time. And it's usually out of a lack of knowledge or out of their own selfish desires. When it happens, don't assume that you aren't good enough or because that usually triggers insecurities, right? I'm not good enough, something's wrong with me, right? I have been guilty of saying it too. It must be something wrong with me. Nobody wants to marry me. I'm not, well enough or good enough to where somebody wants to give me a child. It was all of these what ifs, and this comparison, right? And when you compare yourself to somebody else, you are setting yourself up, right? When you don't even know the other person's story, you don't know what they've been through, you don't understand what they look like on social media is not what's going on behind closed doors. Never compare yourself to another person. Compare yourself to yourself and how you can become better than you were yesterday. All right. All right. So continue with your growth mindset. Continue with looking into remembering that the skills and the talents and the giftings that you have been given, hone that in with your resiliency to become better, to bounce back when things don't happen the way that you want them to or that you expect them to. When it doesn't happen, How are you getting back to a place where you're like, okay, I'm back on the road. I was on the side of the road. I was on those little, what's those little bumps, on the highway when you you get off the road, it's that do 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 that part when you're on the side of the road, and it's time for you to get back in on the lane, your rightful lane. Don't compare. Don't compare. Right? It was time for you to get off maybe and check your tire. Maybe you needed to get off on the side of the road and make sure that everything was okay. Take the time out to not compare. Continue to grow. It's my policy, once again, to either grow or go. Either we're growing together or you got to go. We need to continue to grow so we can become better, not just for ourselves, but so our future generations to come. They are watching. They are just looking at what we can do to become better. All right. Mr. Bondin says there are times where God has opened up the doors to things and goals we desire, and we turn those opportunities down out of fear and doubt. Absolutely. And now, guess what? Now someone else gets chosen in our place because we weren't ready. Right? And then someone else, Lady CEO said, I've learned knowing your self-worth would be a foundation of, I think, of having relationships with people. Absolutely. You have to know your self-worth so you can be chosen to be in the right relationship, to be in the right, to have the right foundation. Absolutely. So my goal really is to make sure that you grow through your challenges so that you can go to the next stage in life, so you can become who you have been called to be, right? At the very stage that you need to be in at the right time. All right, so that's my time. I asked y'all for 8 minutes and I'm already at 10. All right, so that's my time. I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. Once again, please, please, please like, share, subscribe. If you enjoy this teaching, I urge you, it only takes a second for you to do, but it means the world to me. Make sure you hit the notification bell for future episodes. I don't want you to miss out because guess what? On the 27th of May, I am going to have two, not one, but two special guests. You are not going to want to miss out on this testimony, on the things that are coming when we are on part 2 of May You Be Chosen. If y'all thought today was good, wait until you come back on the 27th. It's going to be good. So we're going to go a little longer than a 30-minute time frame. We will be at an hour. So you just jump in and out when you need to, but come on back, take a seat, get your snacks. I don't want you to miss out. So it has been my sincere pleasure where I pray love, joy, peace, and happiness I send to you until we meet again. Love, joy. See ya.